What's up everybody on YouTube? AJ Rest about to discuss another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Golden State Warriors. Is their dynasty over? Is it finished? Is it cooked? And now y'all looking at the title of this and y'all probably like, man, it could be an overreaction, but I think a lot of basketball fans like myself and people who follow the game actually are going to bring this question up for sure. And even though we know the Golden State Warriors, they have that championship pedigree, of course winning 4 titles in 8 years, I'm definitely one of the people that are guilty of just assuming they would kick it on and flip that switch in the playoffs and make the finals. Now I of course had them winning against the Sacramento Kings. I mean, I don't think that really was controversial. Sacramento Kings was their first playoff appearance since 2006, and that series went 7 games, and Sacramento Kings could have won that, but like I said before, in game 7, Steph Curry, he had 50 points. He went crazy. Their championship pedigree kicked in. But as we just saw in 6 games, the Golden State Warriors had to match up with the Los Angeles Lakers, and they were severely undersized and undermanned. And the Lakers, they had way more bench depth. For the Lakers, you have to give props to guys like, of course, Austin Reeves, who's been playing phenomenal this whole calendar year of 2023. He's going to get it back for sure this offseason. It'll be interesting to see if the Lakers will re-sign him and give him the money that he demands, or if he'll get it from another team. And then we also have to talk about role players like Rui Hachimura. He really stepped up, of course, in the Grizzlies series in particular. He played and provided good defense and good role play when he needed to be on the court. Lonnie Walker stepping up huge in game 4 and just really playing in a good rhythm. Dennis Schroeder stepping up. I mean, really all the players. I can make a laundry list about all the players for the Lakers really stepped up. And that all-star break trade really is proven to be the best thing so far. Maybe in LeBron's era, of course, winning the championship in the LA era, but in the era so far, I mean, this is a huge monumental trade that went through. And of course, we have to talk about the head of the snake, LeBron and AD. Now, AD did have some down games throughout the playoffs, but in this series, he was a little bit more consistent. Of course, he was known for having a good game, a great game, and then a bad game. Not in that order, just a great game, bad game, great game, bad game. He was able to string together a couple of good games, and then of course he suffered that little head injury. Some people thought it would be a concussion in game 5, but he ultimately played in game 6. And like I said, the Lakers were able to win 122-101. Some people were trying to say how LeBron wasn't as aggressive or assertive as he usually is, but I mean, he really didn't have to be. That's the good thing about the Lakers. Really, that's a dangerous thing about the Lakers right now. LeBron hasn't even kicked in all the way. He's just facilitating, getting his teammates involved, and they're stepping up right now. Like I said earlier, the role players are playing great. So we'll see in this Denver series, LeBron can just continue to score at will, and then also the role players play great, because if that happens, then they have a great chance of not only making the finals but winning the whole thing. And that's really crazy to say after how they started the season earlier this year. Earlier in the season, the Lakers started off 2-8 in the first 10 games of the year, and there were a lot of questions concerning the Los Angeles Lakers, but we have to give credit to not only the team, the front office, and also to Darvin Ham. He's been an outstanding coach, particularly in the playoffs, how he's been able to make a ton of adjustments, even to Steve Kerr, one of the greatest coaches of all time. And I know a lot of people may challenge the idea of Steve Kerr, but I mean, he's a champion, not only as a player, of course, being on the Bulls teams, on the Spurs teams, and things of that nature, but he is a great coach. Now, we all know that Mark Jackson, he maybe like facilitated things of the Golden State Warriors, how we know them today, with Klay Thompson and the Splash Brothers and Stephen Curry and Draymond and all of them, but Steve Kerr has been able to put in a great system for basically the past decade, which has resulted in 4 rings. Steve Kerr is most definitely one of the greatest coaches of all time, and we also have to give credit to Darvin Ham, though. He is a champion. He was an assistant on the Bucks team in 2021 that won the championship, but that's just talking about the Warriors opponent. This not really talking about if their dynasty is over, what they can do, what they can change in the offseason, because there's a plethora of things that they will have to face, and a lot of decisions they'll have to make as well in this summer. I feel like if the front office and Golden State were to try and move on from Draymond Green, I think it'll make the video's question really simple. It'll be over for sure. Draymond Green, he isn't the best scorer. He's not going to drop 50 points in a game. He has a profound impact, whether it's defensively, whether it's playmaking, and we know that maybe he wouldn't do the same things on different teams, but the Golden State Warriors is essential to how they've been able to win in their time. From the past few days, I feel like if Golden State is able to move on from anybody, it's going to be Jordan Poole in a trade. Everyone knows how bad he played this series. It's way more than just points, though. Really, Jordan Poole, he had a disaster class of a playoffs. He shot 25% from 3 and only 34% from the field. That's a significant drop-off considering that in the regular season, he averaged 20 points per game and also shot 43% from the field and 33% from the three-point line. We obviously know what happened prior to the season with Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole, and not to say that violence is okay, but maybe Draymond was justified in doing that. I'm not saying that in terms of, oh, he should have punched him for sure, but maybe Jordan Poole has an attitude problem. When he wasn't getting a lot of minutes in the Lakers series, there was reports that he was having a bit of an attitude and really wasn't as locked in or interested, and that kind of plays a role into why Draymond might have had that conversation with him before the year. So if you're going to trade Jordan Poole, where do you trade him to, though? And who's really going to take him? I don't know if a lot of teams are really going to be willing to offer too much for him. Everyone knows that he's a promising young player, but he has to lock in defensively. I mean, really, that's where he has to get better at the most. And his efficiency for sure, and his shot making and his decision making in in general, because sometimes he's very erratic. Sometimes he can kind of be reminiscent of someone like J.R. Smith. He's streaky for sure. And I feel like one of the worst things you could be considered as an NBA is streaky. You want to be always consistent. I mean, I've even had people telling me that they would rather have Austin Reeves than Jordan Poole, and honestly, that's not even crazy to say, because Austin Reeves has been hooping really since post All-Star break. This isn't about the Lakers, this is about the Warriors, so let's keep blocking into the conversation. So I feel like if you want to move anybody, it should be Jordan Poole. If you can try to keep Andrew Wiggins, of course we know in game 6 that he was dealing with a little rib injury, so that definitely played a role in his performance, but really from the start of that game it was over, because the Lakers were just dominant from start of tip to the end of the game. But yeah, I would definitely say to keep your nucleus, your core, keep Steph Curry, of course, keep Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. But also we do have to talk about Klay Thompson, because he had another disaster class as well, really in this whole series. In game 2 against the Lakers, that was Klay Thompson's best game of the series. He made 8 threes at 30 points, and that's when they won that game, of course. But besides that, in the series, he was not good, to say the least. I mean, Klay did average 16 points in the playoffs, but this doesn't mean anything, because if you look at his efficiency and his numbers, shooting from the field and shooting from the three-point line, oh my gosh, they're atrocious. Klay shot 34% in the series against the Lakers and shot 38% from 3. Now, 38% from 3 isn't that bad, but you shooting 34% from the field? I mean, he was missing a lot of mid-range jumpers and things like that too, a lot of bunnies. Very uncharacteristic of him, but at the same time, I mean, it was crazy bad to see, especially in game 6, game 5, he was just missing. It was nothing like him, honestly. Now, what I'm saying, definitely not to trade Klay. Like I said, you have to keep that nucleus, but we do have to talk about Klay. I mean, of course, he is one of the greatest shooters of all time, in my opinion, behind Steph, of course, and behind Ray Allen, I would maybe say. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad if you put Klay over Ray, because I mean, hey, that's not too controversial in my opinion. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but we got to stop expecting Klay to be what he was. Everyone was talking about maybe it would be game 6 Klay back. Well, we got a game 6, and that game 6 version of Klay that we saw in OKC and some of his other playoff performances, that was not there to be seen. And defensively, of course, he's not the same, but he's still, of course, not a liability. He's still a respectable defender, but it's just not the same. And let's talk about Steph real quick. Really, there's nothing to be said. Steph is, my opinion, potentially a top 10 player of all time, even right now. In my opinion, I said this last year, I created a video on it. Steph, in my opinion, I love Magic Johnson, but I think Steph is the greatest point guard of all time. Of course, he isn't the best playmaker, but against the Lakers, he had a triple-double, and not only that, he was able to play make a lot. The Lakers were taking away the three-point line from Steph, so really, he was able to get his teammates involved, and we saw that on a high level. So Steph, don't get it wrong, he's the greatest shooter of all time for sure, but he can also pass the ball at a high level, make the right reads. He's a good playmaker. I mean, he is a point guard for a reason. A lot of people call him a combo guard, which I can see for sure, but Steph, I mean, he's for sure a great point guard, and he is one of the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest point guard of all time. With all that being said, though, he isn't getting any younger, and luckily his play style doesn't rely on athleticism, so that shot is going to continue to be the greatest shot ever and perform at a high level. But we got to talk about, I mean, what are the Warriors going to do at this point? It's a lot of questions for Joe Lacob and Bob Myers. Something that would be interesting, in my opinion, is maybe the Warriors trying to make a bid at getting Chris Middleton. Of course, the cap space and a lot of things, you would have to fluctuate with those numbers, but that would be an interesting pickup for them. A 3-and-D player, but like I said, the cap space is going to be a lot. If you can get off of Jordan Poole and trade him, that would be able to help to try to sign Chris Middleton, maybe not to a long-term deal, but maybe like a 2-year or a 1-year contract or something like that, if the Bucks don't re-sign him, of course. But not gonna lie, Chris Middleton didn't have the best season, but they just need like a secondary scorer that is really reliant for the Warriors, and that would be able to help out with them, and along with that, some bench depth. But let me stop beating around the bush, though. Is the Warriors dynasty over? No, I don't think it's over. And I might sound crazy to say this, but I think Steph and the Warriors, they have one more in them. If they retool, add some bench depth, add some better players next season for 2024, I feel like they could win at least one more. I could see the Warriors dynasty ending with 5 titles, and that would be legendary, one of the best of all time. The Western Conference, of course, isn't going to be any easier next year. You still have a lot of teams. The Kings are going nowhere. The Lakers are going to be there. The Nuggets are going to be there. We'll see what the Suns do. Of course, they did fire Monty Williams. They need to add a bench as well, but they still have KD and D-Book. I'm sure they're going to get rid of DeAndre Ayton, so we already know that situation there. Oh man, and the Grizzlies as well. I don't want to talk about that too much, guys, but we did see that video of Ja Morant flashing a gun for a second time, man, so I don't know about them. He'll probably be suspended a lot, so I don't know about the Grizzlies next year. I probably won't mention them, but there's a lot of teams in the Western Conference to be mentioned. The Clippers potentially, but I don't know because Kawhi is hurt again next year, so yeah. But the West isn't getting any easier, but it's possible for the Warriors to win again. I wouldn't put it past them. Just like this playoffs like we're seeing this year, I think next year is going to be a lot of parity as well, and that's when the NBA is the best. We don't know who's truly going to win the championship. I feel like that's a surprise in itself. So y'all guys, let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think the Golden State Warriors dynasty is over? Is it cooked? Or do y'all think they still have one more in them? In my opinion, like I said, I think they have one more, but let me know your thoughts down below. I appreciate your guys' support always. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Swaggy Russ, and also on TikTok at Swaggy Russ 02 for cooking videos, shorts, content, and things of that nature. Stay tuned for more videos, guys. I took a little week break, just needed to recuperate and things of that nature, but stay tuned. This is about to be a big summer. I appreciate y'all always. Love. I appreciate y'all. Y'all be blessed.